Hello everybody, look at that nice beautiful day. The sun finally came out. I have to tell you, I do not know how you northern people can handle it. We had a few days, 3 or 4 days of overcast weather where we never saw the sun, you know. I mean, it was daylight, but no bright sun like it is today. And I was so depressed. God, it's really humiliating to think that the weather can have so much control over your emotions, but my Lord, and I was so irritated with myself because I was saying, I have to snap out of this. This is ridiculous, you know. I should do something. But, and I guess maybe that was why I was so stubborn that day with Selena, because nothing helps me get over depression like hard physical labor, you know. So I really wanted to work on the car that day, and then when the weather interfered with that, that made my depression even worse. But my mom was suggesting, you know, maybe we just need an inside project because there might just be days you can't work on Selena, you know. We just might be entering that period of time. But today is a beautiful day, and I don't think it's going to rain. I was feeling very persecuted because it seemed like every time, the last few days, you know, you wouldn't see any rain, but I got anywhere near Selena and it started raining. So I was starting to think somebody up there was, you know, didn't want me to paint my car, or my mom's car. Anyway, so, unfortunately, me being stubborn that day has created more work for me. Today we're going to wet sand Selena's Freckles, which I wouldn't have needed to do if I hadn't tried to paint in the rain. I'm pretty sure these will sand off. I tried wiping them off with mineral spirits. That didn't work. But I'm pretty sure sanding will probably do the job. I mean, after all, if I was able to go over those horrible streaks that I did on the roof with the priming, I would think this is a pretty simple thing to do. So, while we're at it, how do you wet sand? Well, I'm going by how the guy did it in the video I watched. So, this is how you wet sand. You've got some water, and I got my sander, and there we go. Get it nice and wet, and then we're going to put the sanding stuff on top of that, and then we sand the car. And that's how you wet sand. Okay, so I've wet sanded her down with 220 grit sandpaper. The last time, between the second and the third coat, I had wet sanded with 150. I'm gradually, you know, upping the number. Not all the spots came off, but I'm most of them did, but not all of them. I'm kind of hoping, though, that as I paint over them, as I put more lower paint on, I'll be able to, you know, it'll paint over and there won't be a problem. Okay, so that's that. And I think I'm going to go to the bathroom and then I'll continue. Okay, so I wet sanded her, I washed her, and I wiped her down with mineral spirits. And so now we're getting ready to paint. I've got a new mineral spirits now. It's supposed to be more environmentally friendly. And that was one of my my New Year's resolutions, was to be more environmentally friendly. It's this brand, Clean Strip Odorless Mineral Spirits. It's rather strange. It's milky, and it smells like Pledge. So in a lot of ways, I don't know if it's not, they claim it's odorless. You know, it's not really odorless. It's, it does have an odor. And in some ways, I sometimes find that Pledge smell to be more overwhelming than the regular mineral spirit smell. As far as how it works, what's funny is that when I mix it with the paint, it seems to make it, it doesn't make it as loose. I mean, it doesn't make it thicker either, but I guess what it does is it makes it fuller. And in some ways that might be nice. I don't know. As far as, it cleans my stuff pretty well. As far as, the car, when I'm wiping her down, I have to use more of this. You know, the other mineral spirits, I only had to go back twice to do the whole car. This time, with this, I usually have to go back 4 times. So, but, I mean, if that's the only complaint, that, you know, that's not such a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to open it up and I'm going to show you what it looks like. I shook it because it seems to not always mix well. And this is what it looks like. And it's a kind of it's a really weird color for mineral spirits. And so yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, this is Selena after 4th coat of paint. Most of the spots did sand off, and most of them seemed, of course I have to see what's going to happen once it fully dries. Most seem to be able to be covered over. There are some the areas that were really bad, which was like on this part of the hood and up on the roof, there was some really bad spots. It's possible that they may start showing through, but I'm kind of hoping with more coats of paint that we'll be able to cover them. Since I was able to cover some of the streak marks from the spray paint, I'm hoping that we'll be able to do the same thing with the paint, with, you know, the spots. It did streak really bad up here. The guy had said to make sure you're using 100% mineral spirits. The thing is, I can never find percents on the things, you know. So you assume that it's 100% mineral spirits. I'm wondering if this environmentally friendly stuff is totally, you know, maybe it's not all mineral spirits, so maybe it, I do have some concerns about whether it mixes quite well. Yeah, there's a little bit of spotting there that's showing through. But, this isn't her only coat of paint, so, you know, we've got still some more wet sanding and more paint layers to go for. So I am hoping that eventually we'll be able to get rid of the spots, and, you know, so, the wet sanding does really do nicely because, well, it kind of gives the car a sheen even if you are just using flat paint. But another thing is that it seems to kind of make everything kind of even. It's something you might have to see in real life. Oh, I streaked a bit there. Yeah, the drips are sometimes a problem. I do drip a lot. But oh well. Yeah, there's some more drips. But, I'm kind of hoping, yeah, the wet sanding does a really nice job. So, it just seems to make everything much more even. So, that's it. This is actually the 4th coat of paint. Usually what you do is you put on 2 coats of paint, then you wet sand. In this case, because of the spotting, I had only put on a 3rd coat of paint and I had to wet sand to get the spots off. So I'm gonna, you know, but this is technically the 4th coat of paint. And then before, I don't know what's going to happen. Supposedly there's 2 more coats of paint that you do left, and that was supposed to be the final batch. But if I might have to put on more coats if the spotting comes back, but we'll see. So stay tuned. Hello everyone. Today we put on the 5th paint coat on Selena. Unfortunately the lighting's kind of getting bad. It's getting more shadowy, so I can only show you the one side of the car probably that you'll be able to see. I am having more problems with streaking. as time is going on. So now I'm beginning to think, I used to go side to side, because that seemed to be where the grain of the car was when I was spray painting. And initially when I was first doing the roller method too, that seemed to work, but as time is going on there seems to be more streaking. So now I'm trying up down, and you can see that kind of on this door. I did that. There is a lot of streaking, so I tried it. And I tried it on the trunk. The trunk, it started out as the easiest part. Unfortunately, most of it's in shadow. It started out as the easiest part, but it's streaking horribly these days. So I'm going to see how this all works. Maybe another day I'll show you how to, or how it looks when this light's a little better. I didn't wet sand. Normally, if things would have went normally, I would have wet sanded between the 4th and the 5th coats. But because I had had the problem with the spotting, which happily I was able to paint over, there's no spotting. There's streaking from the roller, but there's no spotting. Happily, I was able to paint over the spots, even though a lot of them didn't sand off. So since I did a wet sand before the 4th coat, I decided I didn't really need to do it with the 5th coat. So I put because normally, as I said before, you put 2 coats and then you wet sand. So since I had wet sanded before the 4th coat, I figured I could do a 5th coat and then I'll wet sand next time. So, so we're getting very nearly done. She's got probably 2 more coats of paint. As I said, I don't know how much you're going to be able to see now. Well, I don't know. Yeah, she's got 2 more coats of paint. 1 more wet sand. Well, I don't know how many times she's going to be wet sanded. There's at least 2 more coats of paint. And then we're going to put on a clear finish to protect her. And I think there's going to be 3 coats of that with some sanding in between. But she is nearly done. So I'm very excited, rather. So stay tuned. And this is what it looks like after you've wet sanded. So be sure to don't wear your Sunday best clothes, okay?